was driving back to Oklahoma after visiting my sister in Texas. It was almost 1 a.m, and I still had about 2 hours left before I got home. The highway was nearly empty. Every few minutes, another pair of headlights would pass. But most of the time, it was just me, my old Honda, and miles of darkness. I wasn't worried. I'd driven this route dozens of times. When the fuel light came on, I wasn't surprised. I remembered a small gas station just off exit 218. It wasn't one of the big chains, just a tiny place with 4 pumps and a faded sign that buzzed louder than it glowed. Still, there were lights on. That was enough. I pulled in, stretched my legs, and started filling the tank. Inside, the clerk looked half asleep. An older man, and with glasses hanging low on his nose. He barely looked up. "Coffee's fresh," he muttered. I smiled. "I'm good." I grabbed a bottle of water and paid. Before leaving Asakaki, I asked where the restroom was. He pointed toward a hallway. "Last door." Nothing felt unusual. Not yet. The hallway was narrow. The restroom door had an out-of-order sign taped across it. That was odd. I was sure he'd just sent me there. I turned around to ask, but before I could, I heard something. A slow scrape, like a shoe dragging across concrete. It came from inside the restroom. I froze. Maybe someone was fixing the plumbing. That made sense. At least, that's what I told myself. I knocked once. No answer. Then, the scraping stopped. Completely. Not a single sound. I stood there for another few seconds before heading back. When I reached the counter, I laughed nervously. "Thought you said the restroom was back there." The clerk frowned. "It is. It says out of order." His face changed. Slowly. He looked directly at me, then quietly said, "I didn't put that sign there." For a second, neither of us said anything. Then he stepped around the counter. Immediately, we started walking toward the hallway together, slowly, carefully. And when we got there, the sign was gone. I actually stopped walking. I swear. The clerk nodded without taking his eyes off the door. I know. The restroom door was now slightly open, just at 1 inch. The clerk didn't move. Neither did I. Then, very, very slowly, the door closed. On its own. Not slammed. Not fast. Just gently. The clerk leaned closer and whispered, "Get back to the front." I didn't argue. We turned around, and hurried back. As soon as we reached the front, he locked the entrance. Click. Then he reached for the phone. His hands didn't seem nervous, which somehow made me even more nervous. He quietly said, "I've called the sheriff before." I stared at him. "What?" He didn't even look at me. "Just wait." My stomach dropped. Before I could ask another question, a man walked out of the hallway. I never heard the restroom door open. No footsteps, no sound. He just appeared. Dirty jeans, gray hoodie, hands buried deep inside his pockets. He smiled. Not a friendly smile, just enough to make me uncomfortable. Then he spoke. "Bathrooms fixed." Nobody answered. The store felt completely silent. He slowly turned and looked directly at me. For a second, I honestly thought he was about to walk toward me. Instead, he walked to the front door. He grabbed the handle and pushed. Locked. He tried again. Harder. Still locked. The smile disappeared. The clerk finally shouted, "They're already coming!" The man stopped moving. He stared at both of us, not angry, not surprised, just watching. Those few seconds felt like minutes. Then, without saying another word, He turned around and calmly walked back toward the hallway, not running, not rushing, not looking back, just gone. 5 minutes later, deputies arrived. They searched the entire building, the restroom, the storage room, the utility room, outside, behind the building, nothing. No man, no broken window, no back door, no place anyone could have disappeared through. The only thing they found was a trail of muddy footprints leading into the utility room and ending there, just ending there. One of the deputies looked at the clerk. Same guy? The clerk nodded. Apparently, for weeks, customers had reported someone hiding somewhere inside the building after midnight. Every time deputies arrived, he was gone. Nobody had ever caught him. They believed he somehow slipped away before police got there. I drove home, shaking the entire way. Months later, I heard the gas station had installed cameras throughout the building. Not because of theft, not because of vandalism, but because people kept reporting someone who wasn't supposed to be there. Even now, whenever I stop at a small gas station late at night, I never, ever walk down a hallway without first making absolutely sure who's supposed to be there. Story 2, I used to work the overnight shift at a small gas station just outside a town of maybe 4,000 people. It sat right off a state highway, surrounded by empty fields. After midnight, once business usually died down, maybe one customer every 20 or 30 minutes. It was boring. More than anything, like I'd stock shelves, wipe down the coffee station, and watch whatever was playing on the tiny TV mounted behind the counter. Around 2:15 one morning, an old blue pickup pulled into the lot. It parked all the way in the far corner. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes truck drivers wanted a quiet place to take a nap. The truck just stayed there. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Finally, a man got out. He looked to be in his late 40s, jeans, a dark jacket. Even though it was warm outside, he walked inside. Without saying a single word, I gave him the usual smile. Evening. He nodded, nothing more. Instead of grabbing anything, he wandered slowly through every aisle. Chips, cereal, motor oil, dog food. He looked at everything but picked up nothing. I figured he was just killing time. People do that, right? After about 5 minutes, he finally walked up to the counter. Bathroom? I pointed toward the back. Last door on the left. He nodded, then disappeared, down the hallway. A couple of minutes later, another customer walked in, a young woman with a little girl. She couldn't have been older than 6. The girl was holding a stuffed rabbit. They grabbed some snacks, a juice box, and walked to the register. Everything seemed normal until the little girl stopped talking completely. She stared toward the hallway. Her smile disappeared. She grabbed her mother's sleeve. "Mom, what is it?" The little girl never looked away. Then, in a quiet voice, she said, "That man keeps looking at us." I turned immediately. The hallway was empty. I forced a small smile. "He's probably still in the restroom." The little girl slowly shook her head without blinking. She whispered, "No." A pause, then, "He's standing behind the door." A chill ran through me. Her mother laughed awkwardly. "Honey." But the girl wouldn't move. She kept staring at the exact same spot, right at the edge of the hallway. I looked again. Nothing, just shadows. Eventually, they left. As the little girl climbed into the car, she looked back through the front window, still staring toward that hallway, still looking absolutely terrified. I remember thinking, kids imagine weird things. Or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. If you want to hear the next part, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. The final part is coming soon.